Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Art of Female Muscle podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Remo, aka Femme Physique Fan. I am delighted to have our guest today. She is right now in a competition for a Maxim CoverGirl contest. She's also an IFBB WPD Pro. She had her debut earlier this year at the Emerald Cup Pro. Please welcome at this time IFBB WPD Pro Talia Fiege.
Oh,
If I have that right?
yes, you got it
Okay, great.
right.
So thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having
You're
me.
welcome. Some of the research that I did on you prior to the episode is that you had stated that you're a long-time lifter due to strictly to enjoyment. And it
Yeah,
was and when you were starting out, you also said that you were very much involved in kickboxing. How many years were you involved in that?
I did kickboxing for quite a few. It was probably like 3 or 4 years. And it was funny, they ended up sponsoring my demolition derby car, and I drove that. I was one of the original damsels of destruction at the Orange County Fairgrounds.
That was going to be my next question is where did that come from?
It was a
Where
friend
did you
of a
get where
friend.
did you get the interest in demolition derby? I've never heard a woman ever say that she was interested in that. So how did that come about?
It was very funny. Yeah, it was a friend of a friend. She had been in one with all the men, and she's like, oh, she brought to the fairgrounds attention saying, hey, I'd like to do one that's all women. So my friend said that she was looking for girls who were just badass. She's like, you're the most badass chick I know. She's like, do you want to do it? And I was like, sure, why not? So I didn't know what I was getting into. I just kind of fell into it, and it was a lot of fun. The gym sponsored me, and HBUTC, Huntington Beach Ultimate Training Center. We had a
Okay.
great time. They painted the car for me, and we had pipes sticking up and flames coming out, and I won 2013, and it was a lot of fun. So I don't know.
It's
I fall into random things.
well, it's interesting that ironically enough was, from what I understand, was the start of bodybuilding for you because you got injured, and
Yes, I.
then while you were in physical therapy, you met a guy
Mhm.
who introduced you to that, and then also trained you in the bikini division.
Yep, he
So,
trained me, and then I got stage fright, and I kind of dropped out and started just doing my own thing. But I loved the training aspect. So I just kept building, building. I did have kids, so I took a little break. But as soon as I had my second kid, I knew I wanted to go right back to it.
how
So
many
I,
years? Sorry, how many years altogether did you train?
so with him, I was with him for maybe 2 years. It wasn't too long, and then I had my first kid in 2014, my second kid in 2017. So I kind of had that little break off, but after I had him, I just went full speed. So I've been bodybuilding for 8 years now.
Okay. Now, I just find that interesting. What about competing scared you? Because someone that does demolition derby, I would think wouldn't have any problem getting on a stage. So, what was it about it that scared you?
I
What
think
gave you
it
the stage
was
fright?
just the judgment. You're now standing in front of people you don't know, where in demolition derby, you're just driving a car and, wrecking stuff. But, you have people like legit judging you and your body and, what you've created. And you want to be up there and you want to be perfect. And obviously, your first time doing something like that is pretty nerve wracking. But I'm glad I did it. I went up. The lights were so bright. You're focused on your poses. You're already so depleted from all your meal plan that you've been doing all the dieting up until that day too. So it was just you go out, do your thing, and it's just seconds on stage. Pretty much, it flew by, and it was like an adrenaline rush. And I was like, okay, I need to do this. What took
Okay.
me so long?
All right. Now, I have here as far as contest history, did you start in 2022 at the NPC Excalibur?
Yeah,
Was
that
that
was
your
my
first show?
first show. Uh huh.
And I've got here that you competed in figure. You
Yeah.
started there.
Yeah.
And from what I saw of your contest history, you did very well. I
I did.
mean, from 2020 through 2022 all the way through 2023 and then 2024 as well up to North Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Where then you changed things up because you didn't enter into just figure, you also entered into women's physique and also women's bodybuilding. What
And that
was
was
it?
random too.
What was What was it that caused you to want to do that? Do three
So
instead of one?
I did figure, and that's what I originally had planned on doing. And then in between holding that 6 week period between shows, because I placed second at the first one, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go back in 6 weeks and I'm going to do the next show as figure. Well, one of my coaches saw a picture that I had taken with Rob Sims, and he's like, you know what? I want you to try physique. Let's just give it a shot. So I learned all the poses for physique. And the day of check ins, I just decided, you know what? Let's just give it a shot and see what we do in bodybuilding. So I signed up for bodybuilding that day, and
Oh my
my
goodness.
my coach
Okay.
taught me the poses over FaceTime that night, and I went out and I placed third. I was shocked.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing that you did because, I mean, like you said, not only did you place third in Masters in heavyweight and women's bodybuilding, but also you didn't just win one pro card, you won two.
Yep.
In
So
women's physique, you got the first place in one of the classes and the overall win in the Masters 35 plus, and then you
yep,
also won one of the classes in the 40 plus in Masters.
yep,
So it's a good thing that you decided to do that because that was your entry into the IFBB Pro League.
yep.
So
No, I'm very
did
happy.
but then it also showed that your figure placings were lower than what you had placed in the past. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, in fact, when I got off stage, I looked at my coach and I was like, "Did I do something wrong?" He's like, "Not at all." He's all, "Sandy just told you where your category is, though."
Okay.
So, I kind of noticed at that show too, they were moving some of the bikini girls up into figure. So if you notice the girls that placed really well at that show that I moved up to physique, they were on the smaller side. They looked like they were just moving in from bikini.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I kind of felt that shift, almost like they were making room for the fit model at that point. Who
Hmm.
knows what was really happening? But yeah, I felt like I was a lot bigger than the girls on stage. I placed fifth. So no, it wasn't very good. And that's okay. I mean, I'm happy to ditch the heels and go with physique. I think it showcases a lot better, anyways.
Okay. Now you have already had your pro debut. That was at the Emerald Cup Pro in May, and that
Hmm.
was in Masters 40.
Hmm.
Placed 11th out of 12.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a wake-up call, I guess, for you.
Yeah.
What was the judges' feedback from the show? What was it that they said you needed to improve?
I had asked, and she said you brought a very impressive package. Just work on your tie-ins and hamstrings. So that's what I've
Hmm.
been hitting
Okay.
pretty hard. Even talking to one of my coaches, I probably could have used another 4 weeks of prep. So,
Hmm.
it is what it is. No prep goes the same way each time. And I'd already, scheduled it and I wasn't going to back out. So we'll just, do better
Okay.
this one.
That was going to be my next question. In light of that placing, are you still planning on staying with pro women's physique, or have you considered maybe going back to figure on the pro level?
Believe me, the thoughts have definitely run through my head. But no, I am going to stay at physique at least for the moment, see what happens. I've, like I said, been working on some things. Definitely going from the amateur stage to the pro stage is, like you said, kind of a wake up call. Those girls were big. They probably had about 10 pounds of muscle on me. So it was definitely racking my brain. I don't necessarily want to be too big either, especially with the modeling path stuff that I've been working on. I want to
Right.
stay a certain size. I mean, I like my look. I think it's unique too. So no, I'm gonna stay with physique for the moment, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I do still plan to compete a couple more times this year.
Okay. Um, Another question I've got for you on this is a condition that I've heard several competitors say they have after a show, and apparently so many people have this. But the thing that is really surprising to me is that, especially newer or younger competitors, it just seems like they're not told about this at all. And it's like, but if everybody is experiencing it, why wouldn't you tell them to expect this after a show? And
Hmm.
that's the phenomenon known as post-show blues. And have you had that experience
you know,
yourself? And
I think, and I guess maybe I am a little unique in that way because Yes, there's a growing period, and when I do a bulk, it does kind of take its toll on your mental state because you want to look stage ready, but you're not always going to look stage ready. It's definitely unsustainable. You can't do it. It's unhealthy. But I actually had a meal prep company for a little while too, all custom macro. I know how to eat. I really try to keep a good figure too because I work with a lot of the local gyms and I do a lot of photo shoots and stuff like that. And I am trying to get into these magazines. So I I guess it doesn't hit me as hard.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely have heard, people don't know how to come out of a diet and then they just go and, eat all this stuff because they haven't had it in so long. I've been doing this for so long, I'm used to it. And I think that's one
Okay.
of my biggest questions when people say, how do you do this? How do you eat this way? Well, this way is normal to me,
You've
even
just done
for
it so
most
long
people.
that it's okay. You've
Yeah.
just done it so long your body understands it. I was going to ask, what have you found to be the most effective treatment for it? But it seems like it doesn't affect you as badly as it does others.
No,
So,
it really doesn't. I'll have my cheat meal after. I'll go eat pizza. I'll go have some donuts. But I don't eat like that normally. I just do it right after a show, just because it's so long that you're going for. It's something nice to just kind of have a treat to yourself. But again, it's unsustainable to do that too. So I found different ways of cooking. I can make my own protein donuts and protein ice creams
oh,
and
okay.
even protein pizzas, and so it's just a way of customizing it. Yeah, it's not the same, but you know what, I don't want to look that way anyways, and I'd rather have something that's still delicious and not gonna have those negative effects.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm glad that that's the case that you're so experienced with that that it's not as big of a deal for you
Yeah,
as it is for other people.
and I think it's important too because I do have kids. I like to show them there's different ways of eating, and I try to explain to them like the stuff that's on the markets now, I mean, it's terrible for you. And
True. Very
you know
true.
I, I don't want them to just have all this sugar all the time, and I'm
Right.
hopefully gonna instill these values into them, and they'll eat better too themselves and be healthy throughout their lives.
Hopefully. Then I agree with you. It's like you look at I previously when I was really, really obese, I didn't look at nutrition information or anything like that. I didn't even consider it. But now it's like as I'm getting older and I've lost all this weight, it's like I have to do that now. Because I mean, if
I
you want any kind of longevity, I
Yeah,
mean that's you've got to do it. Otherwise, get your coffin ready.
I know,
So
but that's what I mean, like you said, I don't think people know. I don't think they know. I don't think they know how to look for it, what they're looking for, or what things actually even mean. You tell someone custom macro, and they're like, "What's a macro?"
right.
So yeah, it's nice to be able to spread that and help. I've helped a lot of my guys at work too lose some weight and just feel better, and even people stop drinking, which is great too, because that takes a toll.
Now, you're head manager at a car dealership. Do I have that
I'm a
right?
finance manager, yes,
Finance
at a
manager.
GMC
Okay.
dealer.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's
And so you help the guys there with, or if they come with to you with advice, you help them out.
yeah, in
So,
fact, my boss, I have him on a meal plan right now, and he's doing really well. He's losing some body
oh,
fat, gaining some
okay,
muscle, and he's getting some comments. There's people that he knows at the gym and stuff saying, "Hey, you're looking really good. What are you doing?" So I know he feels good about that. I had another guy lose 40 pounds, just putting him on just a regular meal plan, just eating better, paying attention to what you are eating.
right.
So no, I let anybody come to me for anything. Like, I'd rather help, you know. Plus, we're all a team. I really, really enjoy where I work, and everybody that works with me. We're a good team.
Great. Now, big thing for you is that you're currently in competition right now with others to be a cover girl
Yes.
for Maxim magazine, and as I understand it, you're doing very well. There's what, one more day?
There's 2 more days.
2 more
One,
days.
I'm in the last round for it. So one free vote per day. If you go on my story, you can hit the link. But yeah, I would really appreciate any help getting that. It's all on votes now. But I just dropped to second place yesterday. but I've been carrying first all the way through, so I just need to get those votes back up to first place and carry this over to the final round, and then I'm off to London for the photo shoot, and yeah, this would be very cool.
What made you want to enter the contest? Is it just the opportunity to go to London for the photo shoot? Was there any other
No, I
ulterior
really
motive?
want to do the magazine stuff. I want the publication. I ultimately want to be in muscle fitness. I know it sounds kind of funny, but just a fitness model icon. I want to be able to be out there and spread motivation and just have people know who I am,
Hmm.
be helpful. But you got to be out there, and these magazines are huge for that publication, and just
Hmm. Now, do you want to focus on magazines like this for the general public, or are you also interested in opportunities in within the bodybuilding community,
oh,
like any
absolutely
of the
bodybuilding.
magazines there? Okay.
I think they fall hand in hand because I know I have a unique look for what these magazines would typically have showcase. Um, they don't do a lot of women that do bodybuilding. So to have that kind of become more popular, I think would
Hmm.
be very cool. I feel like it's becoming more popular among women too. Um, it was kind of sad to see a lot of the women's physique shows kind of dwindle down this year. So there's a lot more competition at each show, but it's nice to see more women doing it.
Hmm. Okay. That was going to be one of my questions is what do you think, what is your opinion or thoughts on the state of the divisions? Because like you said, I guess now it's being called the muscle divisions, the women's bodybuilding, women's physique and figure. It
Mhm.
just seems like they're getting more and more pushed out. Sometimes,
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes like it's always cited as money or something like that. So what are your thoughts on the current state of the women's physique division as a whole? And then what do you think is causing that? And then also what positive changes can be made to improve matters so that instead of promoters pushing it out, they'll be wanting to add it to their competitive lineups.
yeah, I don't know why they're pushing it out. I feel like some of the girls are pretty big and everybody's gonna want to fight bigger, 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 but there is still women's bodybuilding too that they could step up to, and I feel like some of them should. They're there, they have the extra muscle and they look phenomenal. Obviously, they're on the pro stage, so it would be nice to have probably more step into the women's bodybuilding area just because there are so few of them. Um, but yeah, no figure. I feel like some of the girls are pretty big and could step into the women's physique. I guess I feel like I'm kind of a hybrid. I could do either. But I do like the way women's physique showcases all of the muscle you work so hard for.
Okay.
It's a little better than
It,
figure. Yeah.
I guess a criticism that always gets leveled against the judges is that they're not sticking with the criteria. Because a lot of the things that you see, it's like they say it's like they have a list over on NPC News Online of words that shouldn't be descriptive, according to them, of a women's physique competitor, and
Yep.
the first four words are ripped, peeled, shredded, or striated. And you look at the top five at last year's Miss Olympia, that describes all five of them.
Yep.
So it's like
Yeah.
you just wonder why is it that they're not following through with what they're saying they're wanting to see in the division.
Yeah. I
So
don't know. I even just the placement of the way your foot is, like one person does it the bodybuilding way and then now everybody does it and now it's just accepted. So yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I haven't been on the pro stage very long, but I do enjoy the community and I feel like I'm pretty active within everything. So we'll see how things change and what they're trying to do with it. But
right. So what are some things that you maybe you've already said this and I blanked out. I don't know. But what are some changes that you feel can be made to improve things?
I feel like some of the girls that are bigger that should be in bodybuilding, I feel like they should step up.
Hmm. Okay.
And I don't think it would take away from them at all either.
Hmm.
I know they're there to win. Everybody's there to win.
Right.
Um, but I do feel like some of them could step up and still win.
I agree. I
give
agree
us a
completely.
little more, yeah, give
I
us a
agree
little more.
completely. Right. I
Yeah,
think some of them, I guess, are afraid that if they do that, then they'll have even less opportunities than they do now.
yeah,
So it's like that's one of the reasons why I know some people, some don't want to do it, but it's like I bring up, it's like look at Andrea Shaw. She
hmm
was WPD. She made the move. She's now 5-time Miss Olympia.
right,
So she did exactly so she did exactly the right thing.
yeah,
So
exactly.
they should consider doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, I fully agree.
Okay. Well, I looked up some of the stuff in your link tree in your IG bio. I saw that you've got a gift list for Amazon in case anybody is interested in giving you stuff. You can also post your social media links, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook.
hmm
You've also got a PayPal link there in case
hmm
anybody is wanting to help you financially. Then you also post your own website, taliafiege.com, where you advertise your personal training business
hmm
as well as meal prep. You still do meal prep for people?
I do. I'll write up meal plans for people, but not actually cook for them. So,
Okay. So you actually so you come up with a plan, you don't just act you don't cook the food. Okay.
right, exactly.
Okay.
But I give them the tr tricks and tips that I did use for meal prepping for quite a large sum of people too. So,
Okay. Do you have any competition clients of your own?
no. In fact, I try not to deal with competition clients just because, and I hate to say it, we're very needy. Um, uh, I'm competing myself, so to have to be able to have that focus on somebody else too, I would feel would take away from them, and that's not fair. I
Okay.
want everybody to succeed. So, if people just want to do, I call it the lifestyle training,
Hmm.
that's what I prefer to work with.
Okay.
Um, it's just, yeah, like I said, I don't want to take away from anybody's moment, and I'm happy to give tips. People come up to me in the gym all the time and ask for things, even though I know they have coaches and they're doing their own shows, but it's still nice to be able to help anybody at any point in time, just not have that specific, like, I don't know, stress on me. I would feel bad.
Hmm. Okay. That makes sense. I know one of the most common myths that's out there, and you hear this all over the place, in regards to women in weight training, is that they're hesitant to do it because they say, "Oh, well, I don't want to get all muscular." That they basically say they don't want to look like you, and it's like,
Yep.
but if they knew what your training regimen is like, as well
Yep.
as your dietary regimen, they'll realize they're not going to look like you unless they make a radical change,
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
that tends to be a barrier to women to
Yeah,
avoid
this look
even
is definitely
considering what.
purposeful.
Well, well, it's like they have this perception
Yeah.
that if they just touch a weight, they're going to end up looking like you. But it's
Yeah.
like with your lifestyle clients, if you come across a woman who's hesitant to lifting weights for that reason, because she believes in that, how do you break down that barrier for them?
I just basically let them know, like, this, you have to train with purpose. You have to train for years. I get a lot more people ask, how long have you been training to look like this? And I say, I've been bodybuilding for 8 years. And they're like, wow, I have to work out for 8 years and eat like that for 8 years. So it's like their eyes like kind of gloss over and like, what's happening? So, when you kind of explain the breakdown to them, then they start realizing, okay, yeah, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not going to get here, but you would like to lose weight. This is what we can do. Let's help you get healthy.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, we kind of make fun of it too. Like, like you're not gonna, yeah, I don't know.
Right.
You're not gonna look like
You're
this overnight, regardless.
right. You're not going to walk into a changing booth, pop a flex in the mirror, and then bam, come out looking
Exactly.
like you. So it's like,
Exactly.
so they don't have to worry about any of that.
No,
So,
no, not at all. But I actually, it's more fun, I think, working with the guys
oh,
because
really?
they
Okay.
do want to look like you. How do you do that? I want those striations in my chest. Like, how do you get rid of this? Like it, I don't know. It becomes more fun when they want to be on your level.
Okay. Now, I saw in the link tree you've also started your own, looks like your own bodybuilding clothing company, Talia Fiege Creations. I guess you started that last year, and
Yep,
then
I
you
have
also,
funny
You
shirts
all,
on there.
you also market a 2025 wall calendar
Yep.
of pictures of you. And now, what got you interested in the clothing business in addition to everything else?
Just something fun to have, like I don't know. I just thought they were funny gym shirts. I always have like funny memes that I run across. I'm like, that would be funny on a shirt. Like, why not? Like, people like people like to joke and stuff, and just
Okay.
conversation pieces and just a little extra side income.
Who was the photographer that you used for the calendar?
That's Rob Sims.
That's Rob Sims. Okay.
Uh-huh. So all those photos are exclusive to that calendar. I have not posted them or used them for anything else, which is nice. And I'll have another one this year coming out too.
For 2026? Okay.
Yep.
Great. So now, ask you a couple of questions about your training. What's a typical training split for you?
So it will be 6 days a week, and I will focus on one body part per week. Arms, back, chest, legs. Though I will do twice per week, and I will do like a quad focused day, but I'll still hit hammies, and then I'll do a hammy glute focused day. I'll still hit quads. But no, everything is definitely all burn out on that specific body part per day. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So is that that's training to fail every day?
Pretty much,
So,
yeah.
okay.
It depends on where I'm at with what I'm doing too, like how I train. Sometimes training will be heavy and long. Other times training will just kind of be fast and just keeping what I have size on, but still like in a prep, burning off that fat. So it just kind of depends on what I'm doing when.
Okay. What's your most favorite and least favorite body part to train?
It's hard to say because I really like training everything. It just depends on how tired I am. Some days at work get pretty long. Like I'll pull 18-hour days with training and work too. And then
My goodness.
you're home, you're trying to eat before bed and then get back up and it's maybe 5 hours later and you're all doing it all over again. So it's not that I dislike any training day specifically. It's just how tired I am to get through a
Okay.
workout.
Now you don't have your own competition coach, do you? You do all your own coaching, or do you have somebody?
I do have somebody actually. I have a team. I work with Terry Hairston, Kim Harris, and James Juge. So they're all a team together. I've been working with them for a couple years now. I get posing practice with Kim and James, and Terry will do all my meal plan right up to a competition. So even though I know custom macros and everything, it's really nice having somebody else in your corner just seeing you because they're so used to the stage and they have competitors. This is what they do, and it's nice to be able to have somebody tell you, okay, these are what the judges are looking for. Let's cut this down. And Terry's really, really good about sculpting. In fact, that's his name is the sculptor. We need to add on, and I'm not kidding, a millimeter onto your tricep. Let's focus on triceps. Maybe add a little bit more tricep onto your quad day this time. So that's what we do. We kind of spot train when we need to, and I'll just go do all my training on my own. He just tells me what I should focus on.
Okay. Now, do they? Now you said it's a team. Do they have an official name, or is it just them working together
Yeah,
with you?
it's
So,
Team America Fitness. They're here in Fountain Valley. They're probably one of the best known couples here that do all the trainings for competitions. So they're pretty well known within the industry, and I'm very thankful to have them.
okay. What would you consider to be your home gym or your favorite gym that you train at?
My favorite gym would be UFC Costa Mesa. And it's quiet because it's a fighter gym for the most part. So there aren't too many people in the weight room. Their equipment's really nice. It's always clean. They play good music, and it's a good group of people that go there. So that's my favorite gym to go train at. But I will do other gyms too, like just with hours alone and what their schedule is. I'll have to go to
Right.
24-hour LA Fitness, but it's okay. You can go where you need to and get it done. And
There you go. Make the schedule work. So,
exactly.
yeah. So now, with all your experience working out in gyms and what you're looking for, if you've got a new bodybuilder, someone who's brand new to the bodybuilding lifestyle, who's currently gym shopping, and they don't really know what to look for, in a gym that they can seriously train at, what are some green flags and red flags to you as to what they should look for in a gym if they're gym shopping? Like, what would be some
Mhm.
signs that this is a gym they really should consider? And then also, what would be some red flags saying maybe you need to go somewhere else? So,
It's a
what
pretty good
would
question because I feel like you could really make anything work anywhere you go. Um, but the problem with like these commercial gyms is, it, there's stuff everywhere. Like people just don't care like real bodybuilders would if you go to some of these studio gyms. The owners are there. They're on site. People are there to work out. They feel it's their gym. They take pride in ownership in going to certain places. So things get put back better. It's just cleaned better. Um, Equipment that works. That tells you a lot about a gym too. If something's broken, it's still broken the next three times you go. It's like, okay, come on. Like, but like I said, you'll make anything work wherever you go, but you want to have
right
fun doing it too.
now? Understand you're a mom of two.
Yes, yes.
What does the family think about
They're
you,
funny.
or how old are they?
8 and 10.
Oh, well, okay. So,
It was actually kind of funny. My daughter, she's the 10-year-old, and a few years back, we were in the grocery store, and she started realizing at that time people stare. And she's like, Mommy, he's staring at you. And I said, I had to kind of tell her, I was like, I don't look like other women most days.
right,
So
exactly.
if people are going to stare, and you're just going to have to get used to it. And it's not that they're being mean, it's just they're not used to seeing this. So it's become more norm to her, and I know she brags to her friends, my mommy's a pro bodybuilder, and they have no idea what she's talking about. So I've
But
actually
hey,
had
she
her.
thinks it's a big deal.
She does,
She
and I've had
thinks
her
it's a
friends'
big deal.
parents
So,
call. Her friends' parents have called and say, "Oh, what's this I hear? What is it that you do?" So, I think they're more interested in like hearing about it. But no, it was really cute too. I remember my son was in preschool, and we did a Mother's Day little breakfast thing, and they wanted pictures, and I picked him up and I spun him around. We did these really fun pictures, and he's like, "Mommy, I love that you don't look like the other moms," and we had fun. Like he.
aw, that's a nice thing.
Yeah,
That's
and then all the
nice.
other kids were
Yeah.
like, "Mom, do that to me." They're like, "No."
Or like, Mom, why don't you look like her?
Yeah,
It's such
that
like
looks so
that.
fun.
Right.
So no,
So,
it's been cool.
a couple of things that have been happening in bodybuilding, I guess, that have been controversial. I was wanting to get your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on the new fit model division? Because they've got the
Um,
amateur division is now, and then
right.
next year the pro division debuts. What impact, if any, do you think that's going to have? Well, first of all, what do you think about the division in general? But then also, what, if any, impact do you think that's going to have on your division in
I
terms
don't
of lineups of shows?
I don't know that it's gonna have much impact on my division. Um, I did, like I said, notice it at the show where they were moving what I felt the bikini girls were into figure, and the figure girls were just bigger in that category and not placing as well anymore. Um, Fit model though, I felt like they implemented that one because people were feeling that even the bikini class was too much for people to attain. They felt like they couldn't compete because they'd never get to that level. So, I mean, I feel like it has its pros and cons. Yes, it's not necessarily a bodybuilding category, I would say. Don't get me wrong, the girls look great and they know they diet to get there, but I feel like it's just another way to make people feel like they can still participate in this type of conditioning.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
yeah, I just, I feel like a lot of people got turned off just thinking that they couldn't do it. And I know bikini is one of the biggest classes there is because it's on the easier side of doing stuff. And let's face it, women, for the most part, don't want as much muscle as even I have. And that's okay. But I feel like it was just another way to, and I hate to say capitalize because everything is kind of about money too, but bring more people in to feel like they can participate.
Hmm. Okay. And then also, I was going to get your thoughts on this. There was the Clash series show last year,
Hmm.
and one of the very best in the world, and going to be one to go down in history as one of the greatest of all time, Natalia Abraham Coelho
Hmm.
decided to show up for that
Hmm.
show. And I guess that really sparked a firestorm among people, especially in the women's side, because I guess this was been simmering for a while and bubbled to the surface of just the idea of pro competitors who've already got Olympia qualifications, like she does, because she's
Hmm.
now I'm trying to remember the year that she actually won the Miss Olympia, which means now she's lifetime qualified. So
Gotcha.
she could show up anytime, but then here she is showing up to compete at this show when
Right.
she's already got it. And
Right.
apparently a lot of other people were complaining about other women in other divisions who were doing exactly the same thing. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that if you have already won your Olympia qualification that you should step aside and allow others to compete, or not a problem? I mean, she has every right to show up and compete for the money and such like that. What are your
Let's
thoughts?
see. Yeah, I mean, she does have every right, especially when there is a purse involved. And, like I said, the more you're out there in front of people, the more well known you are. And uh, yes, it's sad that other women were losing out because she was already qualified. But yeah, I guess it kind of, what was her thought behind it? Like I can see it from both sides.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, good for her. She definitely puts the work in for it. She deserves
Oh
it.
yeah,
But
absolutely. So,
yeah, I mean, we all put the work in, and there's no doubt about it.
right.
But yeah, you can see it from both sides.
Okay. And then I guess I just have one more question for you is that say you've got a brand new bodybuilder, brand new to the whole thing, the
Mhm.
lifestyle, the training, the diet, competition, such like that. And it's like when we start something, we've all got a fantasy of what it's going to be like.
Mhm.
But then it's like you start getting involved in it. And reality doesn't always translate from fantasy. It's like things are happening that you don't expect. So
Right.
what would be some advice that you would give to those new competitors just starting out? By which I mean, what would be some encouragements that you would give them as that of what you have personally experienced through bodybuilding that have been positive in your life, but then also what would be some warnings that you would give them, things to avoid, things that they might not be aware of that come with the bodybuilding lifestyle that are potential dangers that they need to avoid. So that's what I mean is to give advice as to encouragements as well as warnings.
I would say make sure you're doing it for you. Make sure you're having fun the whole time. Um, what is your end goal? Really think about where you want to go with it. Like I said, I did this because I loved it for years before I even stepped on stage. Um, you have to have a true understanding of yourself. Dangers as far as that goes, make sure you have a coach that knows what you're doing because a lot of people get in trouble with diuretics, and that's really,
Mm-hmm.
really dangerous.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, just make sure, like I said, know what your end goal is, know what you want, just be safe, have fun because yes, it's fun to watch us pros, but it took a lot of work to get here and a lot of relationships are put on pause because of it. So make sure you're okay with your life the way it is. You do kind of step back from people because they don't live this lifestyle. It's a very
Right.
different lifestyle to
Right.
live. I go out to eat with people, but I bring my own food or I'll eat before or after. I don't indulge. I don't have the cravings because I know what my end goal is. And I think a lot of people have that mentality going, oh, well, I can just have this or it's okay this time. You lose a lot of friends who you would go drinking with when you were younger. So it, you just really kind of you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about other people, and you learn who's going to stay. And that's fine. It's a lifestyle I chose. I enjoy it. It works. Even though my work schedule is crazy, it works for me. It was hard to meet people out doing things anyways with the hours that I pull at my job. So I'm up at 3:45 in the morning so I can go get it all done because I may not have the opportunity after work. So it's
Mm,
just you really have to, like I say, you have to know yourself. You have to know what you want out of it, um, but really be careful with what you're doing too, because yeah, some of the things that people do are really dangerous in the sport.
right. Agreed. I've heard of people dying from
Yeah.
diuretic protocols or coming close to it. So
Yep. Yep.
absolutely.
It's a it's not normal to be at 4% body fat, especially for a woman, and it's definitely not sustainable. So don't think that those people on stage look like that all the time. It's literally you diet down for a show, like, and then you're back. You want to get back to normal as fast as possible. So
Right. Well, it has been a delight to talk to you. Thank you
thank
so
you. You
very much
too.
for thank you very much for choosing to come on the show.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
appreciate the invite.
yeah, you're very welcome. I wish you the very best of luck
Thank
at
you.
your competition and with the not only shows that will be coming up later in the year, but also especially the Maxim shoot, the Maxim
Oh, thank
contest,
you.
because I know that's something that you're really looking forward to. And
Yes.
everybody who's watching this, click on her link and vote for her, so that she gets this opportunity and she can then
Yes.
share in a big magazine like that, the art of female muscle, basically, and be
Yes.
able to help people learn about it and such. So, thank you so very much. It's been wonderful to talk with you.
Thank you. You too.
This this has been another episode of the Art of Female Muscle podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Fem Physique Van Remo, and we will catch you on the flip side.